there were a handful of boats that went up there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were doing okay. They kind of dropped off. Maybe some of them went other places. There hasn't really been much activity at all out there for 2 or 3 years. I think part of that is a lot of the markets maybe had been caught in areas people knew. We had that freshet in 2018, 19 that probably didn't do good things for it, and there's been phenomenal spat sets, so it's really kind of recovered to maybe a decent area
Decent
again,
area, yeah.
and it might hold some boats for a while.
Okay, Lee?
I happened to be in the area yesterday, same as you were the day you did your survey. There was 3 boats up there towing yesterday, so just to give an idea.
I had a couple calls from a couple people in the Northern Neck that wanted to shaft, that either had shaft on the area or wanted to, you know, they're just inquiring as to, you know, what we thought we were gonna do there, you know. I said, well, I don't know, we have to discuss it in committee and see what we wanna do, you know. So I guess that's really what we need to do now, I guess, is as a committee to discuss what we want to. I don't know, I want to get the chart up because I want it from a scrape standpoint. I don't know if it's, you know, actually, it's going to be tough to scrape the area, you know. So I want to be able to show the committee, you know, the narrowness of the rock and the drop off and all like that, you know. So see what y'all thought about that.
Oh, I can pull that up. I didn't realize I've actually got screen privileges
Yeah.
there on that one. So hold on just a minute there.
Okay.
Let me see. That's exciting. I guess I didn't realize you all could see. I just can't see.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
I'll see that. So let me see if I can drive backwards here. There we go. All right.
Okay. Where is end of area 8 at, Andrew?
So this line right there
Okay.
is area 8
Uh-huh.
right there, and this is the, like as I was talking about there, the area, that sort of purplish color there.
Uh-huh.
That's what shows up as hard bottom. Those green dots are grabs that we took where we had some oysters.
Okay.
The reds are a few oysters, and the blacks are just nothing, mud.
What's
and-
that green area there? Right above it.
Oh,
right there.
in these areas, that's the open harvest area. So
Okay.
those sort of yellowish green color, that's the public ground in the area. This color here is private ground. And we
Okay.
surveyed these 6 areas up there. So there's bowlers up here, another little piece that we called bowlers as well. And here, these 2 areas were sort of the main rocks, bowlers and long rock, where we actually were seeing some. I mean, it's possible there's a real skinny strip in some of these areas, but, you know, Pat and Tongan, we didn't see much anywhere where there was an echo. There might have been a little bit of mud or a little bit of shell there. And
How
then
about
here,
on the Middlesex side, Andrew, that box there?
this one there?
Yeah.
We didn't survey in there. There was only, I don't know if you can just make out right where that was the only thing that showed up in the 80 survey as having anything on it.
Okay.
So we kind of tried to focus there in the time that we had. It's possible there might be, again, there's a little strip that looks like it runs into private, and that might be you know, that spot's probably,
That's pretty close to
Acre and a
Garrett's,
half.
isn't it? Lee?
Garrett's is up.
A little
where the
further
black line is up there where you see.
Oh.
Is that Garrett's right there?
On the left-hand side, on Middlesex side.
If you look at Bowlers, where it says Bowlers Rock on the charts, just
Yep.
below that to the left there.
Okay, right there, okay.
and just I'll go back here.
It's actually down.
Back
below that,
over
so
on
it's
the-
any bit-
Mm-hmm.
right
Lost
there.
my mouse
Right
here.
there is Garrett's.
I think I have one that's kind of zoomed out. Well, I'll just give you kind of reference. There's Moratico that you see right there, and this is all upriver there, but I don't have one of it zoomed all the way out. But just to kind of give you a reference in terms of that hard bottom, you can see that those kind of weird shapes there. That's what shows up as sand, hard bottom, something other than deep or soft mud, and you can see how much skinnier those areas are.
So the ridge we were talking about is right on the edge of the channel? Oh, lost it again, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. So sort of there's some stuff kind of along this channel edge, but it's mostly kind of right here. And this is again, NOAA hasn't really done a survey that's been published. They've done one actually recently, so hopefully we'll have some updated charts up here. But this is probably a chart that the depths are from the 1960s or something like that. So it's not perfect, but
Lee, where were those boats working at yesterday? Right there, in that area right there.
Hit them oysters up out of
Yeah, okay, well, I guess we need to come up with some answers here, some questions. Well, I mean, I guess we'll start maybe down with Tommy. What do you think, Tommy? I mean, I guess we're gonna have to decide if we want to do anything, you know, with it. I mean, it is open for hand towing in there, but it's certainly not getting much pressure. So, is it, you know, I wish we had some more hand scrapers here so we could determine the viability of being able to work it, you know. I've never worked up there, so I don't feel confident talking about it, you know. I mean, I know about where it's at, but that's about it. I think Ernie's been up there.
Nobody really has worked up there, really.
Right, yeah, it hadn't, yeah. Yeah,
When I was with Daddy years ago, we worked all the way up, the Fellows Rock up that's polluted,
okay.
but they were 2.5-inch coal off there.
Right, yeah.
They were like nuggets, but
Yeah, I
they were
mean-
beautiful.
they'll take probably 8 years to get back to those, but
Oh,
there'll be
yeah.
nuggets again there 7-8 years from now. But
Yeah.
those all died in that freshet all the way up there.
That's the only place I worked up at.
Yeah.
It was some lumps right on the edge of that line there that we got into a couple years ago. Right in there,
Right on the line,
that were really good. But I haven't been above that.
Gotcha, okay. I guess any other thoughts? I mean, we're not getting very far on this here, I don't know.
My thoughts are, the hand tongers pay a user fee, and some of those guys just have that to do. They don't have a dredge license. You know, it's just like the patent tongers taking in the last meeting, when you're trying to take an area away from the patent tongers down the river. I don't think, you know, we should try to take an area away from a user group that's using it. I know it doesn't have a lot of pressure. Another thing, it's on the channel edge. I mean, it could be easily swept off into the channel in the mud, and then we have nothing.
Yeah,
I don't know what the scientific background on it is. You know, I don't know what that does for the brood stock of the upper river. So I don't know any of that. My recommendation would be to leave it the way it is.
okay. Yeah, I think, you know, if it's oysters there, it certainly helps area heat. I don't know how much it helps it, you know, from a scientific standpoint. I know if it's brood stock, I mean, some of the larvae's got to be going down river into heat, and heat's been very good.
How long is that open up there?
Right now, it's open through March.
Through March?
March, I got you. I had on, yeah. I mean, is that, y'all, I mean, would y'all want to see it?
What is staff's recommendation?
We don't have a strong recommendation. I think the concerns expressed by the committee are shared by staff in terms of an area that could provide, resource to hand tongers, that it's likely, same concerns about sweeping things off into deeper water. It's a traditionally low recruitment area. There's no guarantee that this area, if it was opened and scraped on, that it would come back, and it could be potentially damaging for a long time, since it's a low recruitment area. I think I've heard some, that basically what was just expressed by the committee are similar concerns from the resource. And again, it's it would be a tricky area to replenish how skinny those rocks are as well. And again, there'd be no guarantee that you get spat set as well.
And I think it would be difficult to work it too, if it's as narrow as you say. I mean, with the current flies up there, so it's really difficult making your turns, and you'd have to really tow up and down,
Do you know how many oysters was caught off it last year?
When the last I looked it up, there was only, there wasn't really anyone reporting up there. So I don't think there's been almost
They ain't
no effort.
reporting. I don't care what they're doing up there.
Yeah, right, I know.
I mean, well, I think,
Somebody needs to get some tickets.
yeah, I'm not sure if they're not reporting or there wasn't any work up there. But again, I think, like you said, the 3 boats, they might have left it alone for a little while, or if there were other areas.
Well, somebody needs to go up there and see who's working there.
I don't know what boats were working up there yesterday. I know last year, there was only one boat that I ever saw up there, and that wasn't every day.
Yeah, I
I'd like
mean,
to know how many's being caught up there.
right.
If it ain't
And-
100 bushels, I don't see why it's any good being closed for everybody else.
Yeah,
Hey, Andrew, this is Rich. What you checked it with Pat and Tom? What was the depth there? About 8 where the rock, 8 feet where the rock was at?
I would say 7 to 10 foot. So was what we were seeing where there was oyster rock. I can say I went out on the last day that area 7 was opened up, see how many boats were out there, and brought a pair of shaft tongs up there and poked around. And with 18-foot tongs, you were fine anywhere there were oysters. So, but yeah, 7 to 10
and then
foot.
when you got off the rock, what was the drop off?
The channel, it goes right down to 30 feet, and then on the other side down to at least 14, 15, 16. There might be some deeper spots, closer to 19 and that sort of slough in the middle of there. But on the channel side, it goes right on the edge.
So it's 60 feet wide, you were saying, and it drops off that much. That is very narrow I got to admit, for dredging. That's going to be complicated.
yeah, I agree, Rich. But I guess we still got the task, of finding something for the hand scrapers to do in February. We've still got to look towards that. So this is not going to help that any, but I guess it is what it is, and maybe it's best if this committee feels like that we need to leave it as it is, then we'll move on and you think we need a vote, anything on it, Andrew, or just a consensus?
If it's the will of the committee, if there's a vote, you don't need to take any action on it. If you don't want to, it'll stay as it is. If left. So.
Want to do that? Is that the wish of this committee?
Got a good thing going at 7 and 8, and
Yeah.
don't, maybe
Right,
just
exactly, I agree. I mean, I'm sure it's helping us some up there, yeah. Okay, so we'll, as the committee requests, we'll go ahead and put it on the back burner for right now, Andrew. Maybe have an option to bring it up again next year or something, but we got to get some use from the hand tongers up there. If we're going to allow these people to work, then they need to go up there and work. I mean, to have it open for them and they not work it is not doing anybody good. It is some resource there, and like I say, it does other benefits of it in, a revenue stream for the state there. So I think we need to, keep it on the back burner and maybe look at it again next year, and we'll just keep it like it is. Good, Tom.
Was this a patent tong area back in the day?
I don't know. It wasn't, never was. Mhm.
As far as we could go is where Maritica was.
Yeah, it's still in code is below the patent tong line.
Oh, it is a patent dog line there? Okay. That's,
Where was the, Ernie would remember, but I thought back in the 80s, they changed and moved the Patent-Tong line up the river. Is that right, before Oyster died in
we moved the patent
1986?
dog line up the road?
They moved it up from, stopped at Smoky Point, and we got it to Maritica
Maritica, okay.
back in the 80s. But we never went above that. We couldn't go above that.
Okay, and 8, that's the
Yeah.
end of it. Okay, all right, well, we'll move on. We'll come on down river, and I guess my thoughts, right now, 6 is set up for February, but it's going to be open, but don't anticipate much action there. I don't think, I think, it might get a few boats there, but it certainly ain't going to support our hand scrape fleet.
Can I make a suggestion? Joe, marry yourself in for 2 weeks. It was still plenty of oysters in there, and there's enough little ones. It ain't gonna hurt for 2 weeks.
Where's that, Ernie?
Open 7 for 2 weeks with 6.
Well, if not to interject there, I can put up. I think I captured what the committee was talking about last time. If you want something to look at there, just to keep it going there. What I can pull that up there and keep the discussion going. Let me see if I can switch
Okay.
around here.
if area 2 would stand a month.
Yeah, no, Andrew, you did look at that, didn't you?
Yeah, let me, we can show, area 2 there if you want to see. We did a post-harvest survey. Let me see if I can close this out there. You see that okay? So that was area 2 after that season extension there. In terms of the number of markets, we're still good for historic, but they'd come down a lot. You know, it had almost 20, close to 30 markets, and after that extension in 2-month season, it was down there low, and the shell volume had dropped below 10. We did replenish that area too, so we got a shell plant. Some reef shells went on that area last year, or this I guess it is last year now. So in summer of 2023, and it does look a little bit better, the areas, but it did just get a shell plant on it, and it, you know, you could tell there were boats there, but I have the most recent Pat Tong survey data here. And it's going to be a little bit small. I'm not sure you can make that out, but you know, basically the brown shell volume's kind of up. It's not up to 10. It's not up where it was. I don't think North End in that area got shell planted on it. It was just a bush park area there, so it's had some shell. Again, the number of markets there is better than where it has been, but definitely you could tell that they were worked there. So how much it could take would really probably be dependent on how many boats
Yeah.
went there.
That's what's hard to control. I mean, it's really difficult to,
I know last year, the last month, they worked pretty much offshore. That hadn't been worked at all for 3 months.
yeah.
And I think they did pretty well off our.
Can you see that all right there? Okay. So this is what I think the areas that were discussed last month were a 2-week extension in area, or a 2-week addition in area 2 for the first half of February, and then a 2-week extension for the second half of February in Great Wacomico area 1. And then there was a request at that point to extend, and it wasn't an official motion, but there was a discussion about extending Deep Rock for 2 weeks in March. And then there was some discussion about, since Larson's Bay didn't pan out, having area 1 open in February there. And that was sort of
Yep.
kind of what was discussed, and I think
Looks pretty good.
Well, I guess not. Go ahead, Mr. Cohen.
One thing, to get your opinion on Andrew and 6, a maximum of 2 weeks in February if we open it at all, based on the amount of small recruitment that's there. What are your feelings?
again, there's the small number of smalls in area 6. I'll pull them up right here. But there's more smalls there than there has been since we've been surveying it. So you're looking at the highest density of small oysters. We put some seed in there. It's got phenomenal recruitment. There's, you know, it's probably not going to be good for them, but if a few boats are staying there, I think they were still doing okay when they were leaving there. I don't think they were down to the line, but it's sort of, you know, if a few stay there, it's on a 3-year rotation right now. I think it would give enforcement something to do if there's a lot of small oysters leaving there.
Yeah.
But again, it kind of depends on where that effort goes. If there's other options, maybe it keeps things split up. But if they're grinding away on it, it's something that if it does become an issue, I don't think the commission necessarily needs to have a regulation change to close an area, just to extend an area.
I'll make a suggestion that we only open it or close it the first 2 weeks and then open it the 2 weeks of Great Wacomico, and then that gives some of the boats, we got, I think the majority of the fleet that I have is gonna go back to James River. They're not gonna
Yeah.
stay, but that gives the local boats somewhere to go. And
Yeah.
then I feel what I see and what I saw, I think Area 6 could be a good area and the better area in the next rotation than it's been in the past.
Yeah.
So just, not close it completely, but maybe have it open the last.
2 weeks in February, and have 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks in Great Wacomico open?
No,
Or
the
last.
first 2 weeks in area 2,
Okay.
and then the
Oh,
second,
yeah, right, okay.
the second 2 weeks in Great Wacomico and area 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you give 2 options for that second half, because Great Wacomico is certainly not gonna be the option that area 2 is,
Right.
so,
Okay.
limited
Oh,
amount
no.
of pressure in all the
It's
areas.
the most little oysters I ever seen up the river in my life.
Yeah.
I never seen nothing like that.
Lee?
What about York River? What about that York River Area 1 that was open for hand scrape in November? What does that look like? I mean, I know the shaft owners were talking about it being wrapped up, snappy, all that. Did that get enough work? Could that be open?
I'm not sure if Peyton's on there, but I think it had about 4 to 6 boats scraping on it. And it was most of the shaft hongers there just kind of switched to scrape for that month, and
Oh,
now they're
they-
still there. I think a few extra boats, but I don't think it ever had more than a dozen boats on it for a month.
I mean, that's also an option too, to kind of split the fleet up,
Yeah.
open that up, and maybe that might help that area as well.
Tommy?
We've got some York River people in the room. It might be a good time to hear from the audience on what
Yeah.
was there, what.
Yeah, Jamie?
I haven't really been there this year. The guys were there.
Okay,
You're good. There's plenty of oysters left.
okay. I got you.
Plenty left.
I'm planning to.
And this is an area that's a little bit deeper than some of the other, I mean, there's some areas that are hard to replenish, but if we open that for 2 weeks, it would be a little bit more even working, and then we could replenish it and work it back into the rotation, whereas it's probably gonna be on the borderline whether it needs replenishment or not this year. But if it had another 2 weeks there, then we'd know we need to go back there.
Right.
If we could plan on that, yep.
I got you. So staff would be supportive of 2 weeks there?
It especially if it's not in a standalone area, I think,
Yeah.
generally 2 weeks overlapping with other areas.
But the hand dongers are still up there, right? Yeah, I mean, it's
Right,
all open
right.
but that, yeah. So it's really not a standalone area.
Right.
Yeah.
I would make a motion that we open it for the second 2 weeks
February.
in addition to
Okay.
Great Wacomico and Area 6. I think it's a good suggestion to,
That's what I was aiming towards.
sounds like the resource is there and kind of makes sense.
Are you gonna, leave area 1 open too, February?
We're
The
gonna talk
Patton
about
area
that,
there, that could be a motion there, but I think, again, it keeps another option open, keep things split up in the Rappahannock.
So, okay, so we got, last 2 weeks of February in York, first 2 weeks in area 2, right? And then Great Wacomico is second, half of the month in February.
And I'd like to hear if Rich could just give his opinion. He's the Great Wacomico expert on what, just to make sure he's good with that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am. But I'm still having a hard time hearing. But did somebody mention about opening up 7? Was that?
That was Ernie,
Am I correct on
it was just talking about it, yeah. But I think, personally, I think we probably should leave it alone and try to work these other areas, short rotation,
If you leave it alone, they can get that next year.
Yeah, exactly. It's been doing so good for the last 2-3 years on this 30-day rotation.
If we do extend 7 or 8, that takes away from the following year. Am I correct on that?
It does, yeah.
So yeah, that'd be. I'm sorry, but I'd have a hard time hearing. So far as Great Wacomico, there's not being a lot of pressure on it, and there's still a lot of horses on there. To be honest with you, it really needs to be so struck up. It really needs to be worked. So I'm in favor of that latter 2 weeks of February for Great Wacomico.
Okay. All right. Okey-doke. Any more discussion? I think we got a pretty good, plan here, short rotation. I don't think it's gonna hurt anyway, and I think if we could, this should keep everybody busy pretty much. If we extend that Patton Tong area too, I think that's gonna help. Some of those guys that are scraping now will probably go back Patton Tong and so. Okay, all right, well, I'd like to, if we could get a motion, on this, we'll present it.
Mr. Chairman,
Let's go.
just on James River, would it make sense to have 1 and 2 open with 3 due to the limited pressure that's had this season? Would that help 3 to have
Oh, in terms of that March season we have in there now?
last 2 weeks there to, I mean, would it,
First 2 weeks of March, or 83,
If that means we don't have a February commission meeting on this one, no, but no. I think, I'll pull up the James River there. I mean, the James River, in all honesty, has had basically 40 to 60,000 bushels a year less coming out of that. That's been coming out of the Rappahannock, so it hasn't had the boats there. So I think if that season gives people more options, I think the resources there in March to have that open concurrently.
you're talking maybe first 2 weeks in March in area 1 and 2, Tom?
yeah.
Just to
Okay.
keep them together there.
All right. So that give us, first 2 weeks of March, we'll have area 1, 2, and 3.
What is that? What areas is that?
James
James
River.
River.
I say, but what, 1, 2,
1,
and
2,
3
and 3.
areas?
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. See where 3's got hand scrape for the first 2 weeks of March, just extending that area 1, 2,
got you.
first 2 weeks of March.
I'm gonna take that off here and see if I can put these on this real quick, and then I'll try to share it. So hold on just a minute. So I'll run this down while I'm putting them in there to make sure. Do we want to take that right now, or is there any discussion on area 1 at this point, or
Oh, for the Patton Tong?
and Deep Rock area there?
Yeah, we can do that, if I can keep it all straight.
I can get the
Getting
scrape. I can
confusing,
get the
yeah.
scrape areas first there. So that was. Area, we'll start with the James there. Keeping area. One. Where is it? So that was have the whole lower James River hand scrape areas open for the first 2 weeks in March.
Okay,
Area 2 in the Rappahannock open for the first 2 weeks in February. Area 6 in the Rappahannock open for the second 2 weeks in February. I skipped the York River, excuse me there, York River folks. York River, second 2 weeks in February, 2 to hand scrape.
What's that York River area again, 2?
Area 2,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, I guess that's York River Area 1, excuse me.
Oh, you mean area 1? Okay.
Yep, Area 1.
Oh,
Area
one.
2, it's high, down low, down river in New
Yeah.
York. And always,
Why don't you
always
change
confusing.
that back? That's the only place is opposite.
Yeah, I don't know. I think gotta take that up with my predecessor there. I think. But, yeah. Let me make sure I got that right.
And what was the James River? 2 weeks in March?
Hello.
First 2 weeks of March.
Oh, that's
What's
that's my Excel sheet not liking that, but there we go. And then
While we're waiting, Mr. Chairman,
Mm-hmm.
did we talk about Deep Rock for
We haven't yet, but yeah, we can, yeah.
month of March?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I guess we can, we can, talk about area 1. I think, since, a lot of pressure was relieved on area 1, a lot of about half of the fleet went, hand scraping. So I think we look at, extending, area 1, through the month of February. And then taking Deep Rock maybe. What do y'all think about either 2 weeks or, I don't think even a month would hurt it. I mean, what do you think, Jimmy Dean? I mean, it's very late pressure there. Yeah. So whatever y'all want to do, if you just want to schedule 2 weeks in March or extension in Deep Rock or go full 30 days, it's fine. I think it's, you know, it's still, it's a good day, you know, and it's big
What I
oysters.
seen ain't gonna hurt it.
No, it ain't.
That time of year, it's like the day.
Yep.
It ain't no walk in the park.
No, so they're gonna earn the money when they go there, yeah. Like this week. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. All right, well, we got a lot going on.
I think I got it all captured there. I'll try to,
Okay.
I'll try
You
to
gonna
put
go
this
for
up
the
here.
whole month or half the month?
Let's go for the whole month. We can schedule if they don't wanna, I mean, here comes David.
You was out there today, weren't you? No?
They just did get in.
We're all good with hand scraping area one.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I thought that's what you just
Why'd you wanna bring that up to David?
You just passed that.
We were doing pretty good till that.
Yep, yep.
All right, I'll put this up there. I think I got everything captured. Let me make sure I got it there. I think I can get that whole suite in there. So,
Okay,
we'll start with the James River and work our way north and around.
okay.
Let me hold on before we get there. Dan,
Hey,
was there any, I think it's kind of probably too early for any kind of extension discussions over there, and you already got 2 weeks in March in Beasley. Is there any things before we
Yeah.
get on this that?
I mean, are we having another SMAC next month, or?
I'd like to try to get one mostly to discuss a replenishment plan, but if there's a,
Okay.
we'll have another bite in the apple if need be. If there's an actual emergency or something, that
Yeah.
try not to do that.
I mean,
but
Well, I mean, right now, I think some places I don't think it's going to need an extension. Pocomo got hit with death rate pretty hard. Worked over there a couple of days. I mean, it's not horrible. After 2 more months, I don't know if that's going to need another extension. Other than that, I'm not talking about the Beasley's Bay part. I'm talking about what's open now. This sound, I don't know what to say. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I think there's enough oysters, but it's also just been worked, a few weeks, and I don't know what the weather and the market on them. I don't think they're not yielding quite as much by all reports, and so I don't know how much it's going to get worked. And I mean, I would be open to it, but I'm also not shouting up and down for it either. I don't know how to. I don't know. I'm other than just saying I'm confused. I don't know what else to say.
well, I think we should have another, at least to discuss it, and if need be, there might be a little bit of time. But again, if we're talking March, that gives us a little bit of a window there before January. And again, we try not to do emergencies, so if we're okay with that, I think I'll cut and paste this real quick, and that'll maybe give us a chance to actually look at it on a screen that we can both kind of see, rather than having to look backwards. I'm not sure how to get those other TVs on there, that power glitch, but let's see what we got here. Oh, I can't do that. All right. That's pretty good. I'll try that. All right, there you go. You see that all right? Kind of? Okay. So we're talking 2 weeks for the whole James River, hand scrape areas. Yep.
And there's nothing on WebEx. No.
Let me share that with you all. Hold on just a minute there. All right. You seeing that now, Beverly?
No, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Now it just popped up. Yes, sir.
Okay, there we go. So 2 weeks into March for the James River. York River Area 1, the second 2 weeks I have that not quite right there. Second 2 weeks in
What was that, York River?
February.
Area one.
Area
When was that?
1 in the Lower Rappahannock, Pattentong for the month of February. Deep Rock extended for the month of March. Area 2 in the Lower Rappahannock, 2 weeks in the first half of February. Area 6 closed for the first 2 weeks in February, open for the second 2 weeks. Great Wacomico,
Okay,
Area
second half.
1, 2 weeks, second half of the month, and no current changes in the Pocomoke or Tangier Sound. Does that capture everything there?
Okay,
Okay.
if Dan, if they're happy with what, I guess they still got Beasley's, right? They're still gonna work out in March.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind this Sound getting an extension, but there's just a lot of factors in it. I mean, it's got the oysters. The oysters is there. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like with it all together, and maybe the market would be a little better then. I don't know, but I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I don't know how to put it. I mean, I would rather discuss it next month. But if that's going to put you in a jam, Andrew, I don't know. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that on the legal side of it.
I mean, we can bring it up at the commission meeting and see if they want to put it on there and or not. And we can.
I mean,
go ahead.
It's one of those things. If the market's not there, it don't matter. You're not going to be able to do anything with them anyway. You know what I mean? So, like I said, and I wouldn't say. I don't know. I wouldn't say even the full 2 weeks. Like if it was 10 calendar days or something. Just to get a little something, just to get a little extra. But again, it's just been a lot of headaches this winter.
Could we go ahead and ask for advertisement in January for February and to the commission and just have it on there? And if by then, if the will is to talk about it. If not, I guess it could be pulled from the agenda.
I mean, with the new Office of Regulatory Management, we have to start these things so far in advance that we would almost need to start that process now. There is nothing wrong with pulling it from the commission agenda, but there is a lot of backlog work that does go to the Attorney General's office, it goes to the Governor's office, it goes to the Chief of Staff's office, so we could go through all that if we think there's a need for it, and we could pull it in the end, but it is a more convoluted process. It's not just that simple, but yes, we can.
If we advertise and then you don't pull it and just staff recommendation, just not to open it if that's or not to extend it if that's the will at the time of.
That's something we can talk about. We could probably do.
That's what I was going to ask. Could you advertise it? And then, I mean, even if it had to be advertised separately from Rappahannock and James River, and if it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass.
We would need to advertise it publicly 2 weeks before the February meeting. That's when it has to go through the newspaper. There's a considerable monetary amount when you talk about advertising to the public and advertising in the newspaper. So we want to pull it before we spend all that money to advertise it. So we could go through, the steps are free to send it to the Attorney Generals and all those. But once we hit, I don't know what day the commission meetings are.
I think if we have an SMAC meeting, it looks like it's a late one, so it's the end of the month.
So as long as we know by February 12th, that's when it would have to go out. We'd have to know by that Friday, the 9th. So if we have an early one, we'd have a better idea. But we don't want to send it to the newspapers and spend $5,000 to advertise it if it's something that we don't have a plan of doing.
And given if it's just this one issue and the fact that the expert from Tangier would be on the phone anyway, maybe we could just do a quick
Sure, we'll know more by February, so, right, we can start going through these steps, if that's what the committee.
And it would be good to try to have another SMAC meeting that first full week in February, to see how things are going, if there's any extensions, and try to get a replenishment plan
Okay.
discussed then too. Does that work for you, Dan?
Sure.
Okay.
Hey, Andrew.
Oh, there's
You got
Don.
me?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got here. Yeah, that would be great. I just got here. The only thing I hate to see is we got a lot of dead oysters in the Pocomoke, more than I've seen in a lot of years, and they're all big as your hand. In Lake Tangier, if you got some big oysters there, I think it would be a good deal to try to catch them. Somebody wanted to catch them for a short period of time. That's my thought on it. I'd hate to see Tangier saying look like the Pocomoke. But, that's up to Dan, too. I just got in here, so I don't know what's going on.
No, I mean, I agree. This year's just been I don't know if you heard me saying it, Don, this year's just been a fiasco in this time, with the market of them, this, that, and the other. It's just been one thing after the other with them. But if by that time everything cleared up, if the market don't want them, you won't sell them no way. But if it does,
That's right.
it is something there for somebody to do. I mean, and if it's 2 weeks, 10 calendar days, even if it's just 10 calendar days, just something. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, whatever it ain't.
And, the way I look at it, if we, as an oysterman, it's not a good thing, maybe we should step up to the plate and say, shut her down. I mean, even though
Right.
you give us 2 weeks, if it's
Well,
not
I
right,
think-
shut her down in a week.
I mean, and I said this, I don't know if you heard me, like I said, I don't know when you come in. I mean, I've only worked at Pocomoke 2 days. After 2 more months, I don't really see that needs an extension. I don't know how you feel, Don, but what I've seen, after 3 months of that getting worked with all the dead ones, there are some little ones. So, that was just my opinion of where I've been for 2 days.
We'll be lucky, Dan, if it lasts the rest of the February. That's God's honest truth.
I believe that.
It's terrible
Yeah.
for the amount of dead ones. And if it hadn't been for the dead ones, it would be great. I'll be honest
Yep.
with you. Everywhere we go, dead oysters.
So,
But they're all big. But that's good.
They
It's
are.
not good, but it's better than the small ones dying. So
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. This has just been it's been screwed. I don't know. Anyway, I could rant.
I agree with you. I mean, this is the worst. I mean, to me, I'll still catch them a limit. Don't get me wrong, and I can't complain as far as that. But it's just heartbreaking to see oysters as big as they are dead. And I just don't see that happening to Tangier. I think if they're that big, maybe we should catch little extensions. Not going to hurt it. At least we'll get rid of some of those oysters because some of those oysters are so big they're going to die anyway.
Right.
I mean, we seen Pocomoke last year. I mean, we were getting limits by 8:30 at the end of the year, and if those oysters are like what's in Bird's Rock, it's not. Well, it's going to be sickening to look at it. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Well,
But anyway,
it
whatever
sounds
y'all
like
wanna
we'll
do.
have a chance to kind of see how things are there in February and make an adjustment for March if needed. But it sounds like no need for the Pocomoke is kind of off the table, and maybe Tangier, depending on how things are looking. Is that a good way
Yeah.
forward?
I mean, I think there are going to be enough oysters in the Tangier sign to withstand it. The Tangier sign didn't get hit like the Pocomoke did. It's just going to be all the other variables to it. And like I said, if there's no market for them, it don't matter.
And not only that, we don't know what the weather is going to be from here on out. Tangier sign is not the best place in the world to work. We all know that. And who knows? We could have wind for a straight week where you can't get out there. So the best thing I'd say to do is just come back in February and look at it and go from there. I mean, that's my thoughts on it. I don't know how you feel, Dan or Andrew.
Yeah,
or the rest
I'm
of
good
it.
with that.
I don't want to make a decision now when we don't know, but we'll know more in February, and I think that's the right thing to do myself.
I do too. I think we'll know we'll know what we know by February.
Yeah, we might be sick of it by February, Dan.
Yeah, I am now.
You're not by yourself, I'll be honest with you.
Okay, thank you, Dan and Dan.
Okay.
All right, okey-doke. I guess we'll go forward here. Do we need a motion for all these changes, Andrew?
I think if what we just talked about there, I think I captured it on the
Okay.
screen there. If that works, take a motion that we
Yeah.
can carry it forward and discuss at staff level, and we'll at least have an SMAC recommendation
Okay.
to present coming up and work with if there's any staff adjustments.
Okay,
I don't see any at this point, but we'll let you know and have a commission
okay,
meeting there on the 23rd to vote on this. Yep.
okay, all right. Entertain.
Andrew, this is Rich. Clarify, you got Patton Tong, Deep Rock in March, the whole month?
That's the current motion there. Yep.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
And all of February and area 1.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, you got that, Rich? Maybe
Yes, sir, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to, for the changes that staff has listed. Anybody like to start the ball rolling here?
Motion.
Okay, Ernie, Mr. George made a motion that we accept staff recommendations on the extensions of the hand scrape and patent dog season. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it
Okay, Mr. Deal, second.
with the contingency of revisiting Tangier
Right.
in February.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All those against? Nobody? Motion carries, Andrew, so you'll present this and you can get it on the website so we can copy this. Appreciate it.
Yep. I'll try to at least send this out. I try not to put them out on the website until it's finalized, just in
Yeah,
case there's any
right.
changes.
Understand,
so
'cause it
no
could
confusion
change,
there. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I got one other thing here, I guess, Andrew, we talked about it a little bit maybe. I guess first, any more public comment? Anybody have anything they'd like to add to what we've talked about today? Okay, well, sounds good. We'll move along then. Thank y'all for coming, though. Appreciate your presence and I know Commissioner Green addressed us at our last Shellfish meeting at the end of our meeting, and I was a little confused. I didn't exactly understand what he was asking for, so I talked to Andrew about it a little bit this morning, and I asked Andrew to kind of fill us in a little bit what he felt like he was asking, and I want us to just think about this. We don't have to act on it today. We got several months here before we need to do anything, so if you could give us a little brief rundown, Andrew, what you think it deals with money and budget. So, Andrew, if you would please let us know what's going on there. Okay.
Sure.
And,
Okay. I think Adam's been
Okay.
can give a rundown on that one.
All right, great.
So as many of you know, there's a budget bill out there that allocates about an extra $3 million towards the replenishment and restoration program. The goal of that money is to be able to incentivize watermen and put them to work to help with the replenishment and restoration. So that money will not be available till 2025. If that budget passes, all the language goes forward. So the goal this year is to really set the stage for 2025. We need to come up with a better mousetrap, not only to incentivize watermen to be able to move seed, what is setting the right price to make it worth their while, and also figuring out the best benefit for this resource. Are we moving this James River seed to Area 7? Are we moving it to Area 8? Are there other suggestions? So if we know this money is coming, we want to get ahead of this. And the way to get ahead of this is to ask this committee, who's the direct touch to the watermen, direct touch to the industry, is how we build a better mousetrap. We have this money that's going to become available. The idea is let's put watermen to work to better the resource and better the oysters overall in Virginia. So that's the bigger picture on this. And what the commissioner was getting at is to really implore this committee and members of this committee to come up with suggestions, to come up with an idea to help build the mousetrap versus the mousetrap being built in a black box and it just not working. So
Right.
we have this opportunity to essentially get a year ahead of funding and see what works this year and build upon that for 2025.
Okay. So Adam, this would be in addition to our normal replenishment funds?
For the most part, yes.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. So that's good news. I mean, more money, put more watermen back to work, and just got to figure out how we want to do it, how we want to distribute it and so forth, right?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay. Everybody think about that, you know, next month or so here, and maybe we'll devote some time here when we can to discuss this and try to come up with a plan for y'all.
And please don't wait till this meeting. If you guys have ideas, send emails, pick up the phone. That way we have some stuff to present when we come to the meeting. Sometimes we come to the meeting and we haven't had anything vetted. So if you do have some
Right.
ideas between now and then, we are open to start having that discussion.
Well, at the present time, is seed only taken up by hand tongs?
Right.
Right. So if we wanted to use hand scraping that would be a regulatory change, or is that something that the commission would have to pass?
Right. Yep.
I mean, that's something I guess we need to look at. Are we getting enough participation on the hand tong side to produce what we're gonna need, you know? That's quite a bit of money. It's gonna cover a lot of ground, you know, so.
And those are discussion points.
Yeah.
That we need some input and some direction on
Right.
how to build that. So it works for the resource, it works for the industry, it works for the watermen, and we're using that $3 million to help.
Exactly.
the gamut.
Okay. All right.
Can we get an email or something to send the ideas to?
Sure, absolutely.
And Adam, in my notes from the last meeting, I think Jamie mentioned that he was asking for a plan to plant 20 to 40,000 seed oysters. Does that seem in the ballpark?
Say that again?
Sorry, I have in my notes from last time, Commissioner Green had mentioned coming up with a plan based on these funds to plant 20 to 40,000 seed. Is that kind of the number that we should be honing in on?
I think from a logistics standpoint and a resource standpoint, anything much higher than that would be difficult. So it sounds like, I think if that's your recollection, probably that's kind of a ballpark in addition to the seed program that we're already doing.
Because
Yeah.
we have a seed quota, and
Right.
that's something we can discuss there. Do we want to extend that seed quota?
Okay.
Is that something that's good for the resource? Do we want to stay inside of that with that
Right.
40,000 bushels?
Okay, 140, yeah, okay. That was my next question. I knew we had that quota, you know, so I was wondering if this was going to be in addition to it, or would be within that, or what? Okay. Any questions?
I still didn't hear where to send your ideas.
You can send them to either me or Andrew. Both of our emails would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Jamie, you got any comments on that, on the seed?
It sounds like we should be moving a lot more seed than that for $3 million.
Yeah, that's $75 a bushel at 40,000 bushels.
Ridiculous amount of number.
I'm not sure the whole amount was supposed to be for seed. It's just sort of increase that, yeah.
And that's part of the discussion, is we don't have that money yet. Let's lay the groundwork now, so that
Right.
when that money comes through in 2025, we've already had all these discussions about what we want to move, what the price is, and where we want to move.
Okay. All right. Got a question, Ben, anymore? Okay, well, I think we've covered a lot in a short period of time. I know we've got some bad weather coming, and so I think that's all I got. Andrew?
We've got one more thing on the agenda. I
that?
thought we were going to talk briefly about the transfer order, oyster harvester transfer regulation. No?
No,
Yeah.
it's not on the agenda.
I think that might have been on last month's there. We discussed that a little bit there. That
It did, but they said we would talk about it this month.
might have
In the
been.
minutes, it says that they give another transfer option of one or the other. It was brought up by Ty Farrington.
So just to bring everyone full circle, this is something that was brought up by Ty Farrington at the
Okay,
last
all right,
month.
right, okay, I remember now,
When
yeah.
we changed the oyster user fee criteria for transfers, we switched from a system that essentially looked at recent 40 days to more of a longer-term 3 out of the 5. So Ty requested this committee to consider combining those two. It could possibly increase transfers, but really that's at the pleasure of this committee. If they think the transfer criteria right now is working well, they don't need to make a motion to change it. If they think it's something we can look at, you know, we can work with this committee to accommodate more people, maybe those 40 days that got cut out. It's more of an open discussion versus this is something we have to change. This is something that is really a priority for this committee. It was a request from industry for this committee to look at as far as where they stand on the current state of user fee transfers and whether it would be worth opening up to accommodate full-time watermen that are looking at that 40 days versus watermen who've held on to it for 3 out of the 5 years. And I think that's the overall request. And we didn't have a consensus at the last meeting, so we kicked it down the line to give some more thought, reach out to industry, get some more perspective. So it's not necessarily something that we need to take action, but if there are some thoughts, so we'd love to hear the committee. If not, we can bring it back in February as well.
Well, I think what I understood last time was that we were at the end of a long meeting. It was really late, that we didn't have time to have a big discussion, that, you know, we would bring this back forward. I would like very much for us to talk about whether or not this, the change is working or not, and whether or not we need to, you know, as a group, we need to look at the opportunity to maybe make it a little bit more flexible for people to, you know, to be able to get into the fishery. That's what I'm saying. And so I'd like for it to be on the agenda at least for the next meeting if we can, if we have time, or certainly in the near future. I have some ideas about that, so maybe if people could think about that too.
Okay. All right, Beverly, we'll certainly do that. I guess one question I got, Adam, I know I've had several calls for some people that have not bought their user fee or gear license in the last couple of years. Does that put them on a waiting list then? Well, what's the situation? I know we've had some at the commission meetings and all, and we seem to be getting more of that, you know, all the time.
The requirement in regulation is to order, and I'll just use years, so in order to buy your 2024 user fee, you would have to purchase it the year before in 2023. So we are getting people who forget to or cannot pay it in the previous year for whatever their circumstances are. We get a wide variety, and unfortunately, staff regulation and code doesn't allow us to be able to just approve those. We don't get the opportunity to pick and choose when we follow regulations and when we don't. So the only opportunity they have is to come in front of the commission, who can make an exception to their own regulation that they pass. So that's why you see them come in front of the commission, because that is the only avenue for them. The commission can give exceptions to their own regulation. Typically, they have requested that they back pay all the fees so that you know, they continue to be part of the fishery. But really, that is at the purview of the commission, whether or not we recommend they come during public comment, because anyone can speak. But whether or not the commission takes action on that, you know, that is up to the pleasure of the commission at that point.
So, you know, if and when we do reach our goal of, what is it, 660 in the fishery, we were supposed to reopen it back up. Would these people then, if they haven't gone before the commission, would they at that time be allowed to draw a lottery into the fishery then, or how are we going to work that?
I mean, that's a complicated question.
Right.
But if we fell below that number, we would have to come up with some kind of mechanism to allow that back in. So generally, a lottery is. The lottery's already in there. So if we fell below that number, even if it was 2 licenses, there would be a lottery under current regulation.
I got you. Okay. So
To clarify, there's a medical exception for that 1 year. So if you forgot to buy it in 2023 and you have a medical reason for not doing it, we can approve that at a staff level. But if that medical goes beyond 2, 3, 4 years, that's when you see people come before the commission. Once we get beyond that 1 year.
And Andrew, isn't another exception if the person died during the previous year?
Yeah, that kind of gets into the medical exception. We're
military, understand military too, right? Yeah.
Military,
Yeah. So, but we're kind of talking about 2 different things. We're talking about somebody that forgot to buy their license and somebody that dies and you know, their family has their license. I mean, is it any, are they similar as far as requirements? Does that meet both sides of it?
When we say when they go in front of the commission, it's at the commission's pleasure. Those are factors they can take into account. They can take into account that you just forgot, or you had a legitimate medical family emergency that the regulation doesn't address. They have the ability to take those factors in.
I got you.
And we get a wide variety of people, so I can't say that there's a set of rules for what's been happening.
So if you don't buy your user fee and buy your scrape or Pantong or license by April 30th of this year, then you would lose it, right? Yeah, that's where it's set up now.
Calendar year, it's calendar year.
Calendar
yes,
year.
calendar year.
Okay, calendar year.
The commercial cards that April, the user fees calendar year, so you have
Okay.
a point this calendar year to buy it.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I just want to clarify that the exceptions, the medical, exemption, the person deceased, that kind of thing, staff can make an exception because that's part of the regulation, right? They don't have to go to the commission.
Correct. Yeah, there is a medical exception in there as part of the regulation.
Okay, and the deceased part too would count for that.
Correct.
Okay. Tommy, did you have a question?
I was just curious in thinking about this, other than the situation that we heard at the last meeting, do the staff get many requests of
yeah.
this nature?
Of the fact so now that the current, most recent regulation change has almost doubled the number of transfers that we have done in the last year. I think we're up to 53, 42 in the last year. Generally, the number hovers around 20. So now we're up to 42. So transfers are happening at a lot more rapid rate under the new regulation. As far as how many outside of regulation, is that the question?
And the request would ramp it up even more.
Correct, yeah. And that's the slope that this committee has the ability to kind of dictate what the fishery looks like.
Yeah. We beat this thing to death for two or 3 years, so it's
We've got a 50 cap per year. That was something this.
it is.
I'm sorry, was that, we have a 50 cap?
Not currently in a regulation. It was something that was discussed as cap,
Okay.
but there isn't a current cap on transfers
Okay.
per year.
Well, I
That's what-
understand
that's
that
what
the
we
weather's bad
wanted,
and that
but
we
y'all
have an
staff
opportunity for people to
changed it,
get
yeah.
home before it's late, but we can maybe talk about this at the next meeting or
We'll
at least at a future meeting.
We
Yeah.
will make sure to dedicate some time at the next meeting to
Okay.
discuss
All
some of
right.
this.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And maybe we'll have better weather.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Be safe, everybody.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All right. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
See ya.